Joining us now from Ohio, Congressman Jim Jordan, who was the top Republican on the Judiciary Committee in the last Congress and expected to lead the committee in the 118th. Welcome back to Fox News Sunday, Congressman.
Good to be with you. Good to be with you, Shannon. Happy New Year.
And to you as well. Okay, no secret that things got really ugly this week, and your critics say it is proof that Republicans are not about the norms, about the law and order. Opinion piece over in the Washington Post Saturday said this is what happens when a political party year after year systematically destroys the norms and institutions of democracy. 2 years to the day since January 6th invasion of the Capitol, Republicans are still attacking the functioning of government. All right, we've seen the video. I want to play a little bit more of this. This is what was happening on Friday night. How do you convince Americans who watch this play out, including this moment, it looked like it could turn into a physical altercation, that Republicans, your party, can now govern?
Well, I mean, Shannon, you just heard from the report that Kevin McCarthy got the same number of votes Speaker Pelosi got last time. She had the same majority number, 222, that we have this time. So sometimes democracy's messy, but I would argue that's exactly how the founders intended it. They wanted real debate, real input from all people, and then you get a decision. And whether it's one vote or 15 votes, Kevin McCarthy is still Speaker of the House. I've seen all kinds of games go into extra innings and overtime. That's just how it works. What I do know is this. We will come together to deal with how radical the left now has made the Democrat Party. I mean, the ridiculous things that I said this on the floor on Tuesday. You think about it in a 2-year time span. We have seen a border that is no longer a border. We have seen a military that can't meet its recruitment goals. We've seen terrible energy policy, terrible education policy, record spending, record inflation, record debt, and maybe most importantly, a government weaponized against the very people it's supposed to serve. We're going to unite around fixing those problems, which have all happened in 2 years. That's what we're going to focus on. We'll pass the rules package tomorrow, and we'll get moving doing what the American people elected us to do.
Okay, but to the point of moving forward, the rules package, you've already got at least one member out there, Tony Gonzalez, who was a supporter of Speaker McCarthy, who it sounds like he maybe thinks you guys made too many concessions to the holdouts, because he says he's a no on those rule votes. You got to get those rules passed so you can get to business. What do you do now if you've lost some of the middle or the moderate Republicans because of the concessions to the holdouts?
Well, we'll see tomorrow, but I don't think we have. I think we'll get the 218 votes we need to pass the rules package. And understand what these rules, this rules package is designed to do is to stop what we saw happen literally 15 days ago, where the Democrats passed a $1.7 trillion monstrosity of a bill that spent the American taxpayers' money in all kinds of crazy ways. So it's why you have 72 hours to actually review the document. We're going to enforce that rule. The Democrats didn't have that rule. So single subject, so you can't have a bill where you throw all kinds of other things on that piece of legislation. So those are the kind of rules that we think make sense. And also spreading members out on committees across the conference so you get the diversity of opinion within the Republican conference on all the key committees. You will get a better product coming out of committee, which will then go to the floor, which gives you a better opportunity to pass the kind of legislation to address the problems that I just talked about. So that's what the rules package is designed to do. I think we're going to get it passed tomorrow. And like I said, get working for the American people.
So part of the concern over the rules package is that conservatives push for a lot of things that are aimed at reining in government spending, capping spending, and part of that goes to potentially defense spending. So the Wall Street Journal editorial board says this: the price for Speaker McCarthy, it says, the pressure for defense cuts will be great. That's a terrible signal to send adversaries who are increasingly belligerent. But is that now the message that the Speaker, the GOP, is sending, that defense spending at a time you mentioned our military is struggling could potentially be on the chopping block because of this deal that was made?
Well, Shannon, we got a $32 trillion debt. Everything has to be on the table. We're on pace to spend $500–600 billion in debt payments and just to deal with interest payments on servicing that debt. Everything has to be on the table. And frankly, maybe if we would focus our military spending on the soldiers and not having so many the ratio of general officers to enlisted individuals now is so out of whack from where it used to be in our military. Maybe if we'd focus on that, helping the troops who do so much of the work out there for our great country, and maybe focus on getting rid of all the woke policies in our military, we'd have the money we need to make sure our troops get the pay raise they deserve. We have the weapon systems and the training that needs to be done so we're ready to deal with our adversaries around the planet. That's what we want to focus on. So, but you got numbers like that, a $30-some trillion debt and interest payments to service that debt where they're headed this year. you had better look at everything. And frankly, we better look at the money we send to Ukraine as well and say, how can we best spend the money to protect America? I think that's what the people elected us to do. That's what we're going to do.
Okay, I want to talk to you about the president's visit to the border. He is expected there today to see what's going on. He says, first of all, he announced some reforms on Thursday. We'll talk about reaction to that. But he says that from day one, he floated a package for immigration reform and the Republicans will not come to the table and talk to him. Here's what he said when he rolled out those new changes on Thursday.
It's clear that immigration is a political issue that extreme Republicans are always going to run on. But now they have a choice. They can keep using immigration to try to score political points, or they can help solve the problem.
Can you go to the table with the White House on any immigration proposals? Where is their common ground? Because you all agree it's a mess.
Well, first of all, last time I checked, they just controlled all of government literally a couple weeks ago. So for 2 years, they had the House, they had the Senate, they had the White House. Why in the world didn't they get an immigration solution? Joe Biden refused to visit the border when they controlled all of government to talk about any type of solution, and they've allowed now, frankly, a situation where we no longer have a border. And what they did, and he did it from day one, is they undid the good policies President Trump had in place. Right now, the message they've sent to anyone, and you can't fault people for wanting to come here, but the message they have sent is, if you come to our country, there won't be a wall to get over. You won't have to wait in Mexico while we evaluate your asylum claim, and you'll come in and be released to wherever you want to go. That's the message they have sent. So don't tell us that it was the Republicans' fault, for goodness sake. We're certainly willing to work to do the policies that actually will give us a border, the ones we had under President Trump. But it doesn't seem like the Democrats want to put back in place the very things that actually were effective in securing our southern border.
Well, during the Trump years, there was a point where Republicans controlled the White House, House, and Senate, and it didn't get fixed then either.
No, it was fixed then, Shannon. The numbers during President Trump were so good on the border. When we put in place the Remain in Mexico policy, we put in place we were building the wall. And frankly, he sent a message to the rest of the world. Asylum claim is going to be evaluated in Mexico before you enter our country. That was the fundamental thing that changed the dynamic on the border. There's a whole different mindset from this administration. That is the fundamental problem. So until they're willing to work on those kind of policies, in the Judiciary Committee, we will come up with an immigration enforcement bill. We will pass that bill. We'll see if the White House wants to work with us. We'll see if Chuck Schumer in the Senate wants to work with us. But we are committed to passing that out of the Judiciary Committee, which has primary jurisdiction over immigration policy.
Okay, one of the things you've also talked about, well, there are many things Republicans have talked about, potentially investigating Hunter Biden, the withdrawal from Afghanistan, Fauci, COVID, all of that. Mondaire Jones, a congressman on the other side of the aisle, a Democrat, says this: I'm convinced Republicans are on a kamikaze mission. I predict that the self-sabotage of an ungovernable Republican majority will all but guarantee that we take back the House in 2024. How do you answer critics who say there is a lot of important work to get done and they see these investigations as purely political in nature?
I said this on Tuesday when I nominated Speaker McCarthy for the office. I said there are three things that have to happen in this Congress. First, we have to fix the problems that need fixing, passing legislation to do that. I listed those off. It's the immigration policy. It's what's in our military. It's energy. It's education. We will pass that legislation. I hope Chuck Schumer takes it up. I hope Joe Biden will sign it. I don't think they will, but we're going to pass it anyway because that's our job. Then we will make sure nothing like that $1.7 trillion spending monstrosity that passed 15 days ago, nothing like that passes again. And we'll focus then finally on our oversight duty. We have a duty to get into these agencies and look at how they have been weaponized to go against the very people they are supposed to represent, how they've infringed on First Amendment liberties of the American people. And we're going to do that. We're going to do it in a way that's consistent with the Constitution, but we're going to do it vigorously. We're going to do it aggressively because that's our job. And the only way you stop that stuff is you first have to expose every single bit of it. We're learning some now from Elon Musk and what we saw went on between government and these big tech agencies. We're going to get into what's going on at the FBI, where we've had 14 whistleblowers come talk to us about the weaponization of government there and the political nature of the Justice Department. So we're going to get into all that, and we're going to make sure the American people get the truth. I think that helps you win elections, but that's not why we're doing it. To answer Mondaire Jones, we're doing it because it's our job.
We will watch as those investigations play out. Congressman Jim Jordan, thank you for joining us this morning. Always great to see you.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.